So today what we want to talk about is it's called dimensional analysis. And you guys did this in chemistry last year. A lot of times they called it stoichiometry, but it's really called dimensional analysis. You also did it in math 1 a long time ago, okay? That was like your freshman year, okay? So I'm going to go over it again today. We're going to go with some simple problems up to some harder, more difficult problems, okay? So the idea behind this is this, like we know that 1 minute is the same as 60 seconds, okay? So the other idea behind this is that we know that these two things are equal, and we also know that when we multiply by the number 1, we keep the same number, okay? So right here, if we look at this, okay, we have an equation. If we divide both sides by the same thing, and in this case, I'm going to take 1 minute, and I'm going to take, 1 minute and equals 60 seconds, and I'm going to divide both sides by 60 seconds. So I'm going to divide both the left and the right side by the same thing. So 60 seconds. And 60 seconds. And sorry, my writing's not that great right now. Okay. But what do we know about 60 seconds over 60 seconds? The numerator and denominator are the same. So this makes a 1. So what this means is that if we multiply by 1 minute over 60 seconds, that's equivalent to multiplying by the number 1. Okay? Now, you could also do this. What if we took 1 minute and divided both sides of this equation by 1 minute? So let's take 1 minute. I can't spell minutes. Sorry, let me fix that. Sometimes my hand goes faster than my mind, okay? So 1 minute divided by 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds divided by 1 minute. So we took this equation right here that we know is true, and we divided both sides by 1 minute. And so it has to stay equal, right? And so what we get out of that is this side becomes 1, and so 1 is the same as 60 seconds over 1 minute. And so we could write this two different ways, okay? Both 1 minute over 60 seconds is 1, and 60 seconds over 1 minute is also 1. Both of those are 1s, okay? So, and what happens when we multiply by 1? The number stays the same. So like 50 times 1 is 50. 32 times 1 is 32, okay? Or whatever number I said now, okay? Let's go to the next problem, and we'll talk about that one. Okay, so right here, what we have is that 1 inch is the same as, is equivalent to 2.54 centimeters, okay? So what I could do is take this equation and divide both sides by 2.54 centimeters. So that'd be 1 inch divided by 2.54 centimeters is equivalent to 2.54 centimeters over 2.54 centimeters. Okay, so what's the 2.54 centimeters over 2.54 centimeters? Well, the numerator and denominator are the same with this fraction, right? So this is that big 1 that they talked about in math 1, okay? So this is equivalent, okay, so 1 inch over 2.54, and I'm going to abbreviate centimeters. A lot of times we'll abbreviate centimeters, cm, okay, is equal to 1 because this side's 1. Okay, so that's the case where we divide both sides by 2.54. So I'm going into why this works, okay? And I want you to understand why this works, not just here, follow this and here's a bunch of rules, okay? Sometimes I'm going to have to do that, but here I can actually teach you how to understand why you're writing what you're writing, okay? So right here, what I want to do next is I want to divide, instead of both sides by this 2.54 centimeters, I want to divide both sides by 1 inch. So that would be 1 inch over 1 inch. And then this would be 2.54 centimeters. I'm going to abbreviate centimeters again, over 1 inch. So this is, and we abbreviate inch, IN a lot of times, okay? So right here, I took this equation right here and I divided by the same thing, which was 1 inch. This left side becomes 1. So what this is telling us is that 1 is equivalent to 2.54 centimeters over 1 inch. So 1 inch over 2.54 centimeters is equivalent to the number 1. And also 2.54 centimeters over 1 inch is also equivalent to 1. It's just one or the other on top of the other, right? That's all it's always going to be, okay? So let's do some problems. And we know if we multiply by 1, it's going to stay the same. It's going to look different, okay? But the value of it will stay the same, okay? So on this, what we want to do is we want to convert, for example, convert 830 miles into kilometers. And we want to round our answer to the nearest whole number, okay? And we need to use these. It's going what Delta Math is going to look like too, okay, when you do these problems. Okay, so we're going to start with the 830 miles. What we want at the end is kilometers, okay? So we're going to write 830 miles. Okay. Now, what we're going to multiply by, we're going to do this conversion. This is going to be our version of 1 that I just talked about with you guys. Okay. So, all right. So we want to get rid of the miles. So we want miles down here. Okay. So we want to look for something that has miles in it. Okay. So let's take a look. This one doesn't have miles. This one doesn't have miles. This one has miles, but it goes to feet. We may want to use that. Let's keep looking. Okay. So here, 1 meter, 100 centimeters. No, 1 kilometers is the equivalent to 1,000 meters. 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. Okay. 1 foot is 0.305 meters. No, here, 1 mile. Here we go. 1 mile is equivalent to 1.609 kilometers. Okay, that'd be good. Why? Because we have miles and we're going to want miles down here. Okay, and this one actually converts to kilometers. Okay, so this one's going to be miles, MI. Okay, and this one's kilometers. Okay, and what I know is that I can take 1 mile, okay, 1 mile and 1.609 kilometers. That is equivalent to multiplying by 1, because it's what I just talked about on the first part of this, okay, is that if I divide both sides by 1 mile, right, this side would become 1 and you'd have 1.609 kilometers over 1 mile. That's what this is. This is the big number 1, okay? That whole thing right there is number 1. So we're multiplying by 1. Well, what's 830 miles times 1? It's still 830 miles, okay? However, we're going to be able to do some canceling of units. So this is miles written out and this is miles abbreviated. They still cancel and we're left with this. So we're left with 830 times 1.609 kilometers. So this is equivalent to, and you'd grab a calculator. Okay, I'm grabbing my calculator right now, and I'm going to multiply 830. I don't expect anybody to know this, okay, off the top of their head. 830 times 1.609, okay? And you get 1,000. So this is 1,335.47 kilometers. Now, we said round to the nearest whole number, right? So here's our whole number. So this 4 is going to cause that 5 to stay 5. So this is equivalent to 1,335 kilometers. Okay? And that's our answer right there. Okay? All right. Okay, so for this next problem, we want to convert 5 days into weeks. So how many weeks is 5 days? We can figure it out, okay? And we're going to round our answer to the nearest hundredth. So that's 2 decimal places. Okay, so 0.01, okay? So we're going to start with this 5 days. We're going to start with 5 days. And some of these sometimes you might know, okay? And we're going to multiply, okay? And we definitely want days right here, okay? Day or days, okay? So I want to go to weeks, right? So I want to look here, okay, this one doesn't deal with days. This one isn't days. This one's days, but it will switch it to hours. I want weeks, so maybe not that one. 1 week is 7 days. Okay, so this is the one we can use, right? Because we have 7 days and 1 week, right? So we could divide both sides of this by 7 days, and we'd have 1 week over 7 days would equal 1. This side would be 1 right here, okay? So I meant to highlight the conversion that we used last time. And right now, we just had to multiply by one thing, but sometimes we're gonna have to multiply by more than one thing, okay? But that's the one we want. That's the easiest one to use, okay? I shouldn't say there's other ways to do this, okay? But they're more complicated ways, okay? So this is the easiest way. So we want to do 7 days, okay? Because my days are going to cancel here, and 1 week. Okay, and so my days, this 1 week over 7 days is equivalent to the number 1. Okay, and also I know that my days here, this unit days, and this unit days cancel. Okay, and what I'm left with, now this is a fraction. What's underneath this 5 is a 1. So 5 times 1 is 5. So we have 5 over 7, and this would be weeks. Okay, because 5 times 1 is 5, and then 1 times 7 is 7, okay? So what's 5 over 7? Well, again, you grab a calculator, 5 divided by 7, okay? And you get 0.714. I'm going to put everything on my calculator. Everything I'm seeing on my calculator, 0.71428. 57143. Now, we're going to learn in physics that you don't want that many decimal places, okay? There's no way we can measure that far out, okay? And that's going to be lessons for next week, okay? But right now, let's just go ahead and write it. Okay, now what did I ask you to round? To the nearest hundred. So that's 2 decimal places, right? So that 4, if this was 5 or bigger, then we round up, right? And that 1 would become a 2. But this is just equivalent to 0.71 weeks. Okay? And that's all you would have to do. All right, so for example 3, we want to convert 17 meters into yards, and we want to round your answer to the nearest tenth. So that's 1 decimal place, okay? So we want to go to the 0.1, okay? 1 decimal place is the 10th place. Okay, so convert 17 meters. We're starting with meters, and we want to go to yards, okay? So 17 meters. Okay, so I'm going to put a parenthesis here to mean multiplication. This is going to be my version of 1, okay? And I know because I'm starting with meters, I'm going to want meters on the bottom. Okay, now it'd be great if we have something that goes directly to yards, okay? So let's take a look at everything that has meters in it, okay? So this one doesn't have meters, this one doesn't have meters, this one doesn't have meters. This one has meters, but that's to centimeters. I want to go to yards, right? Kilometers to meters, okay? And then foot to meters, okay? Wait a minute. So we got to think about this a little bit because this is going to be a couple steps, okay? If we go meters to feet, right? We'd have feet, and then we could go from feet to yards. So we're going to have to do 2 things here because we don't see anything that goes meters directly to yards, okay? So now we have 1 foot is the same as 0.305 meters, Okay, so if I divide both sides by 0.305, I'd have 1 foot over 0.305 meters. That's the version of 1 that I want, okay? So 1 foot over 0.305 meters. Okay, our meters cancel. Right now, we have feet, okay? The units that we have for this is feet. It's feet, okay? Because these meters cancel out. Okay, now we need to get to yards. We have feet. We need to get yards, okay? So I use this one. 1 foot is 0.305 meters. I want to go from feet to yards. I have that one right here. I can use this one. Okay, so those are the two I'm going to use. So right now, if I stop here, I'm going to have feet. Again, I want yards. So I need to change it to yards. So I need another version of 1. This is a version of 1, and this is going to be a version of 1. Okay, and that's the whole idea of why this works. Okay, so what's the version of 1 that we have here? Well, it's 3 feet and 1 yard, right? So we want our feet to cancel. So we have 3 feet and 1 yard. Okay, so 1 yard over 3 feet is equivalent to 1. Now, why do I want it? Why do I want it 1 yard over 3 feet? Because I have feet up here, so I want feet on the bottom to cancel. Okay, so this meter cancels with this meter. This feet cancels with this feet. What are you left with? Yards. Okay, so this is equal to 17 yards over 0.305 times 3. So I'm going to actually write that as a math problem. 0.305 times 3. Okay, now I'm going to just put this into a calculator and get a decimal approximation. Okay, so I'm putting it in my calculator right now. And I forgot to put the division symbol. I need to put that. Okay, and I get 18.5792 3497. I want to round to the nearest tenth. That's this one right here. Okay, so I need to look at the 7. That 7 is 5 or bigger, so the 5 becomes a 6. So this becomes 18.6 yards. And that 17 meters is 18.6 yards. Okay, this is going to be important that you can do this in physics. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest, if all the math that I learned in high school back years ago, this idea of the dimensional analysis of converting units is huge. It's something that I use all the time, whether I'm building something, or I even use it to convert baby formula when I had young kids at home, babies, right? I use it to mix up formula for my babies because I wanted more than what the bottle said. Okay, so you can mix this and use this. This is something that's very useful in life. Okay. All right, so for this last example, I want to convert 99,000 milligrams into pounds. So we're starting with milligrams, and at the end, we want pounds, okay? So round your answer to the nearest hundredth, okay? So let's start with the 99,000 milligrams, okay? And that's mg, that's an abbreviation of it. So I'm going to write the abbreviation, 99,000 milligrams, mg. Okay, and then we're going to multiply by a version of 1, and I know because of this I want mg on the bottom, because when I go to multiply these, the milligrams are going to cancel. Okay, so right here I have milligrams to grams, right? That's one of the conversions I have to milligrams. Okay, do we have anything else to milligrams? No, it doesn't look like it, right? Doesn't look like it. That's the only one with milligrams. So we have to use that. Okay. Okay. So we're going to use that one. Okay. So I know that 1,000 of these milligrams is equivalent to 1 gram. So 1 gram, 1,000 milligrams, right? That's a version of 1. Okay. So what units do we have right now? The units we have are grams right now because these milligrams cancel. Okay. Now let's work our way to pounds. Okay. So now do we have grams? It'd be great if we had grams to pounds. Do we have grams to pounds? No, we don't, huh? Grams to ounces. We have grams to kilograms, and then kilograms to pounds. We could do that way. Okay. You could also do grams to ounces and then ounces to pounds. Okay. So there's a couple ways of doing this. I'm going to go grams to ounces and then ounces to pounds. Okay. All right. So here we go. Right now, you got to keep this in mind. So you got to stay focused. This is grams right now. Okay. So I'm going to go with grams. Okay. So I have grams and I'm going to go to ounces. Okay. So I know this is ounces. I know 28.35 of these is equivalent to 1 ounce. So 1 ounce over 28.35 is the same as 1. Okay. So now I can go ounces to pounds. Okay. So now I want ounces on the bottom because if I do this, my milligrams, I should cross these out. Milligrams cancel, my grams cancel, right? Right now, if I just do these three, multiply these three together, I'm going to have ounces. Okay. Now I want to get rid of the ounces and go to pounds if I can. Well, I know 16 ounces is equivalent to 1 pound. And LB is the abbreviation for a pound. Okay. So 1 pound, 16 ounces. Okay. So what happens now is this ounce and this ounce are going to cancel. They make a big 1. Okay. Because numerator and denominator match, right? Ounce over ounce they cancel. Okay. So our milligrams cancel, our grams cancel, our ounces cancel. And what are we left with? We're left with pounds. So when we go to do this, we're going to be left with pounds. Okay. So this is equivalent to, and I'm going to do this just right off the get-go. This is 99,000 times 1 times 1 times 1. That'd be 99,000 pounds. I should put pounds here. And then the bottom here is 1,000 times 28.35 times 16. I'm going to put that in my calculator. And that's 453,600. Let me just make sure I did the math right. So 1,028 times 28.35 times 16. Yeah, it's that. And then I'm going to want to divide this, okay? Okay, so 99,000 divided by 453,000, and you get 0.218 253 9683. Okay, so this is, and we said round to the nearest hundredth, that's 2 decimal places. Okay, right there, 2 decimal places. Okay, so that'd be 0.218. We look at this 8. If it's 5 or bigger, then that's going to go up by 1. Okay, so 0.22. And that would be pounds. You know what? Sometimes we use LBS too. I know it says LB here, but sometimes it's LBS too. So we use this one. We use grams to ounces. And then we did ounces to pounds. Okay. This is a lot of times what stops people from going into nursing, not being able to do dimensional analysis, because that's on a lot of the nursing tests. A lot of the just if you want to major in anything in science, I mean, this is used a lot. Okay, and we're going to do this again on the second day of this week. Okay, the second time I meet with you guys this week, and we're gonna get a little bit harder problems. So I wanted to start kind of simple with you guys and build from there, okay? So that's it for today, okay? And go ahead and I'm going to give you some questions in this and you can answer them, okay? All right, guys, that's it.